Next, we're going to welcome back John Shippick. You've already heard from him this morning, so hopefully I don't have to introduce him again. Take it away, John.
Yeah, good day, everyone. Today I'm going to take you through Discover for ArcGIS Pro. So that's our GIS, our premium GIS product at the moment. So quick show of hands, who uses GIS daily in their lives? Okay, and who uses QGIS? Who uses MapInfo? Who uses ArcGIS Pro? Okay, pretty even spread. Mostly probably QGIS, I'd say, in the room. So what I'm going to take you through today is Discover for ArcGIS Pro. So if we look at, when we look at the development of Discover for ArcGIS Pro, we just think of where it fits in and what we want it to do. So if you look at the mining life cycle, there's kind of three phases where you start off, you're exploring, and then the milestone is that you find something that's of economic potential, and then you learn about it, and then you go through your due diligence and just to see if you're at a mine. And then you can divide that up into, more granular sort of processes. But where we really target our development for Discover for ArcGIS Pro, you can use it right through the mining life cycle and use it for environment, wherever you want. We're really looking at that exploration phase. So we want to be that premium go-to solution when you're exploring in greenfields or brownfields. You don't, like if you look at the learn phase, there's lots of great software around that. A lot of you would use Datamine Studio, or you use Micromine, you use Leapfrog. We're not that. We are up in the explore phase. So everything we do is around there. And there's a reason we do that as well. Like, we don't want to be this huge resource modelling package that costs a lot of money. We want to keep the price down, so it's within exploration budgets, which we know are quite low. So if you look at the activities that make up exploration in this phase, you've got the ability to collate data. So that's what Sue's just talking about. Where you've got all these historic data sets and you want to be able to get them into one place to be able to make a decision on what you're doing. That's really important. So for an example, just say you've got some old geophysics file, but that survey could have been worth $1 million. If you can't get that in, you've kind of lost $1 million of information. Okay, so we do everything we can to be able to collate any format into the GIS platform that you're using, in this case ArcGIS Pro, to be able to get those data in there. The next thing you want to do before you hit the ground, you want to be consulting in the field. You can do that using Discover Mobile. Then you're on the ground, you're running, you're collecting data. We pride ourselves on being amazing at that, and I'll show you some examples. We use Discover Mobile for that. Then you want to be able to get all your data into the one place, so you want to analyse your data. We've got tools to do that. Then you want to plan your next move. And most importantly, as an explorer, the most important thing you do all day is communicate what you're doing. It's not like you can say, oh, today I mined 100,000 ounces of gold, or you don't have a metric, you just have exploration success. But you're continually communicating what you're doing. And if that's either to management, if it's to investors, if it's to regulative bodies, you're always communicating what you're doing because you don't have that tangible thing you're producing. So if we look at collating data, so the great thing about Discover for ArcGIS Pro is it's in 2D and 3D. So you can seamlessly take data from a 2D environment to a 3D environment. And you know from exploration data that you get most of it starts off in 2D. So you want to be able to then take it into 3D seamlessly. So ArcGIS Pro, that is a click of a button. It's fantastic for doing that. And I always like to use the example. So sure, you might be using QGIS, but you'd be using some high-end 3D product to go the next step, right? You don't have to do that with ArcGIS Pro. It's all kept within platform. A great example of that, I remember, like you get a soil samples, you look at a grid, and you can see these highs, and you're like, okay, there's a high there and a high there. But then you put it into 3D and you can see, okay, well, it's just shedding off a hillside or something like that. So you can sort of see what's going on a bit better, and you can do it at a click of a finger. You don't have to take the data and go from QGIS into Leapfrog or Micromine. It's just there. It happens. So because it's more seamless, you're interacting with the data a lot better. So the first thing we do, because ArcGIS Pro doesn't natively support drill hole files, we give the ability to do that. So you can bring in drill holes into 3D, you have structure disks, tubes, you can have it in section, you can have it in plan. The next thing we do with collating data is you can bring in wireframes and block models from all the major mining packages. So another great example with SUSE, you've got this historic data, you might pick up a project that's all in Micromine. Now, if you want to be able to bring that into your GIS, you can using our tools. So you can bring Datamine, Vulkan, Geosoft, OMF, SURPAC, or UBC, and just collate it all into the one space. Another thing we do is give the ability to be able to bring in really large DXFs. So if you've got a program like Leapfrog, it's making these massive DXFs that are quite complicated wireframes, and you want to bring them into ArcGIS Pro, you can. The next step of what we're looking at is the ability to analyse data. Now, we are still big on sectioning. I know a lot of the industry's moved away from it. It's 3D with 3D spaces. But sections are good when you're in that greenfield space and you've got limited data, you've got limited drilling. You're not going to make a great 3D model, so it's probably better to work out via a section what's going on. So you can take your plan data, you can drape it over a section. You can make sections, so just say, for example, I've got a topo, and then I want to walk up a crest. I can say, okay, I'm going to make a polyline section up a crest. I can make a section of that, then I can put all my mapping on it as I go and make my first interp and then bring that into 3D. We've got heaps of drill hole tools, so we've got the ability to composite assay results. So obviously as a junior, you need to publish your composites when you go to market, alpha beta tools, table merge, downhole clip from a multi-patch, and 3D points from a drill hole. You can do all of that. Got really basic modelling tools. They're getting more and more advanced. It's just a 3D extrusion via sections, which works totally well in an early exploration environment. Then once you're learning about your deposit, you've got more complex modelling. You understand you've got an ore body, you'll go to a more complex 3D package. Other things we've got in the analyse is geophysics tools. We have 102 different filters. Who here uses geophysics data? Massively. Betty, of course. It's the ability to be able to bring in, you might have a TMI, you can, do your reduction to pole, you can do all that sort of data, whatever you want to get the result you want. So, if you're paying if you just had a geophysics product to do this, it'd be double the price. And we offer 102 filters to be able to do that, all in the one spot. You're not using libraries that, in plugins that crash. They're all there, and all part of the same workflow. We give you the ability to analyse rasters. So if you've got geochem data or geophysics or topo data, you can use minimum curvature, IDW, triangulation, density to be able to get that. We just put in a heap of tools around machine learning, primarily PCA and K-means clustering. Here's a great example of how to use that, where you can bring your radiometric data in, you can normalise that data over 3 bands, you can do a PCA to flatten it, you can do a K-means cluster on it to cluster that data, you can then vectorise it, so now it's vectors, and then you can take that and you can take those domains that you've created and you can put that onto Discover Mobile, and then you can go out into the field with Discover Mobile and ground truth what you're doing. So it'll create these, so radiometrics is great, you can create geological domains. So here's a great example where you've gone 2D, it's 3 bands of data, you've flattened it, you've grouped it, you've vectorised it, and now you've put it into 3D. And here's an example. You can see where the pink is basically straight away by having that ArcGIS Pro going from a flat into 3D, you can see that, okay, that's just colluvium and alluvium in the gullies that's collected, okay? But what you need to do is take that out into the field and then see what each of these domains represents so you can ground truth what you're doing. So that's another example of, taking your desktop and your mobile being totally integrated, which is what we do really well. The next, as well with Analyze, we give the ability to be able to create structure symbols. So again, ArcGIS Pro, fantastic environment, 2D and 3D. You can do traditional 2D geological symbols, or you can do 3D disks when you're in 3D. As an extension of that, we've just put in the ability, and again, it's all going to tie in. You can see what we're doing with the geological compass on mobile as well. We've got the ability to be able to put in lineation and movement direction. So if you're any structural geologists in the room? Anyone with a structural bent? Is that right? Be proud. It's what controls all ore bodies. So what you can do so the discs will just give you a dip and dip direction. The lineation, so you can take the rake and it'll give you, you can put the symbol with the lineation, and you can also say, okay, which way is the hanging wall moving? Is it moving up or down? So then you've got the third symbol there that shows you your movement direction on your disc. Okay, so it's taking, and then from that you can start to work out your stress and strain directions. So the next set of symbols we're going to get into will be strain ellipsoids based on that data. As well with Analyze, we've got the ability, and again, it's going from 2D to 3D. We know that at Greenfields, you're at that point where I might have a map I've digitised. This was in Victoria, one of our old leases at Bethanga. We digitised some geological veins or gold veins, and then there's really good topo there, and so from that you can use the, we just put it in, the line to dip and dip direction tool, so you can get your dip and dip direction from those lines in the topography. Okay, so now you're going from 2D to 3D. And once you've got that, you can use our extrusion tool to extrude those structures. So again, the first step of going from 2D to 3D, totally integrated with Discover for ArcGIS Pro. Once you've got all your data together, you want to start planning what you're doing. So we've got great tools to be able to do soil grids, traverse grids, drill holes. You can plan your drill holes from collar to target as dip, so you can do back. And just really well integrated, really quick and easy to do. And then you can take that and create a drill hole project from it. Now we're going to start looking at our collect tools. So this is the first one. Has anyone got Scaniverse on their phone? It's great, it's free. Just download it. It's an amazing free LiDAR or photogrammetry program. And what you can do with ArcGIS Pro is you can take that, it creates an OBJ as an export, and then we take that into ArcGIS Pro, and you can then just bring it straight in using our tool, which positions it, it gets the rotation correct, it scales it correctly. And then you can start annotating on that, and then use the line tool to get the data off it and start extruding those surfaces. So here's an example of that workflow put together where I've gone and scanned a face. I've brought that in using the Scaniverse importer into ArcGIS Pro. I've started putting some 3D lines along those structures, and then I've done an extrusion on that to be able to bring the faults up in a 3D space. All in your GIS program, all in Discover for ArcGIS Pro. You've never at this point moved from another software product. You're still in the same product and having that level of sophistication. Also in Collect, we have Discover Mobile. There's lots and lots of different data collection, mobile data collection tools out there where we build ours for geological mapping. That's what we do. That's our bread and butter. So everything we do has got some sort of geological bent to it, okay? So here's the mobile structure compass. So you can take your phone, you can put it on a plane, it will give you the dip and dip direction. Also, while you're out in the field, you can see your structure symbols that you have taken. So just say I've taken a structure symbol, you can see where it is on the map, the way it's oriented and what the symbol is in 2D. Here's a great example as well with the structure data. And again, another example, this is a geological mapping tool. We've got a stereo net function. So you can filter out the different things you've done, and then you can get contours on it, either CAM or 1% area. You can do all this out in the field. You can show a mean plane as a pole or a plane. You can show your planes online. So you can get an idea out in the field structurally what's going on while you're mapping. Another part of our data collection is the outcrop mapping tool. So basically what that does, you'll be out in the field, you set it up before you go out, and what it does, it sucks all the metadata out of an image. So it knows where you took the picture, it knows the field of view of the lens, it knows the pitch, it knows where you took it, it knows that, yeah. And so what it does, it knows where you are, and so when you bring that data back in, you can drape it. If you've got good LiDAR on your desktop, you can take the metadata, you can take the image you've taken, and you can position that on the LiDAR that you're looking at. So it's like a film projector, okay? So here's an example of that. So the data I've brought in, you can see if I don't have good LiDAR, I can just stand it up as an image. It's called a section image. It's scaled using a geological hammer there. And here's an example of where, and that's only a 5 metre DTM, but it's draped it quite nicely. So I've got the section, I've got my interps on it. You can see I can freehand it in the field using mobile to do that. And then I've brought it into 3D, it's positioned that image. And then if you look at that in plan, so we're looking at it in plan now, you can see those bedding planes, they're pretty much to strike because we've done all the hard work. What we do is a 4-point reprojection. So we come in, we get all the metadata, we create those rays, we get 4 points on the LiDAR, and then we do a 4-point reprojection of the image so it sits basically where it is, and we take all the vector layers over the top of it and we orient those as well. We've also got the ability within the app on iOS to scan. So there's a scanner within the app. You don't need Scannerverse now. And it's all integrated, so when it comes back, it brings it into ArcGIS Pro and it positions the scan as you brought it in. Here's a great example of a digital twin in ArcGIS Pro. So it can handle amazing data. So this is a 10 by 6 kilometre LiDAR, and it's at 2 centimetre LiDAR. So you can see the detail in this. It works so well. It's like gamification the way it's done. It's really good at taking masses of data and coming in and layering that. So you can see, you know, that's a rock, it's a metre high. So it's really detailed data. So this was in Victoria, it's Hill 800. You can see there's a hill here and they've cut around so they could drill it. And I've walked around, I've taken a picture. This is the ore body, it's hanging out of the hill. It's a quartz carbonate vein. It's running about 25 grams a tonne. And so what you can do, you can use the outcrop mapping tool once you've taken that photo, it comes in, it drapes it on there. But I've also set up points. So you can see as well, we've gone from 10 kilometres and, you know, amazing resolution. But I've set up these points and I've put an image that's associated with these points that I took with a $30 field microscope. And now that's all embedded with ArcGIS Pro as a pop-up. So a great way as an enterprise, you've got people out there collecting data. They don't have to be particularly sophisticated, and then people can come back in and make, you know, different generations of geologists can come back and look at it because the data's there. It's not just interpretation, okay? Some things we're getting into next, we've nearly finished it, is the ability to create voxels within ArcGIS Pro. You can see you can make isosurfaces from them. Once it's in ArcGIS Pro, there's all these amazing tools to clip, to section, to isosurface. We're also getting a desktop stereo net. We've got a big structural focus. And another thing that we're doing on mobile, which I'm really proud of because it's the next step in a compass basically. Up to this point, a compass could only ever capture dip and dip direction. So we've got the ability, if you've got your phone, you can put it on the lineation and it'll capture the dip direction and rake of that lineation. And then you can also go, okay, if it's got slick and slides on it, for example, what was the movement direction of that? Has the hanging wall moved up or down? You can record all that, and then as that comes back in seamlessly, you can put those discs that I shown you earlier onto, so you can see what's going on structurally in 3D. We've got a really big mobile roadmap coming up. So where we're going, currently it started off, all the tables come in, they were quite flat, but we're moving to a much more relational data model. So if you think about geological field mapping, it's a relational database exercise. So I've got 1 point, might want to capture alteration, might want to capture lithology, might want to capture structure, and they're going into different tiles, but it's still all associated with 1 point. So that's a relational database issue. So we really want to get down to, that's what we're going to do. The ability to group layers, we want to be able to create hierarchical pick lists. We're going to base that on the way Esri does it, using contingent values. I've seen lots of different ways. I've looked into it around how you can best use hierarchical pick lists, but contingent values is probably the best way. We're going to get rid of all our validation, so it takes a while to set up a project, but now we're just going to make it so you've got a point, you can associate as many images as you want with it, as many audio, video, OBJs, structure orientation, you can do whatever you want. Better file management. Currently, as the files come in off mobile, they just dump into one folder. We're going to put smarts in so it knows where to put all your peripheral files. And yeah, that's about it really. And eventually we'll end up integrating with the ArcGIS Mobile SDK.